All right, folks, welcome. It's a Sunday. Welcome. This is the first of the program for the week, and all of us will greet all of you. I'm Citizen Jones Hussein. Let's tell you that on the program this afternoon, the opposition PDP party holding its convention yesterday after so much legal battles and hiccups, the World Bank has warned Nigeria against continuing with the subsidy regime, in addition to mosquito nets to be procured, according to the Ministry of Health, for a whopping $200 million. And let me report that today many of our colleagues will be joining us on Skype, one of them, Babajide Kolade Otitoju. But I have inside the studio here, Gani Kayode Balogun, GKB, we call him. GKB, I greet you.
I greet you, Citizen.
We also do have Asokwa James. Asokwa James, good afternoon to you.
Thank you for having me.
Now let's welcome you to the show as we start like this, because the team is ready. All right, folks, let's begin from the top. The National Assembly, in fact, the proposal by the Federal Ministry of Health to procure mosquito nets with some $200 million under its malaria program in the 2022 budget has been faulted by the Senate. Members of the Red Chamber Committee on Local Government and Foreign Debt described the proposal as outrageous and untenable. An executive director of the National Primary Health Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shoaib, said the amount was the importation and local production of mosquito nets. He added that the World Bank mandated the country to buy the nets from a specific producer. Sometimes you wonder if we are more human than rational. GKB.
Well, I think the essence of what the man is saying is that this is the way that we do business. And the Red Chamber had no right to query the way World Bank directed them to do it. It's one of the things that we suffer as a country, when we just assume that things are done in a certain way, and therefore must continue to be so. The Senate has done the rightful thing by querying this particular input into the budget, and the explanation given by the man does not really hold water for them, and does not hold water for me. Because I believe that, granted that malaria is the most potent killer of people in Africa,
of the tropics.
And we have been fighting this for over 1,000 years. It does not take away the fact that by now, we expect that local production of mosquito nets will be priority and not of importance.
We should not be prompted by the World Bank.
It's not the World Bank that will tell us where to buy it or from whom to buy it, because we know the problem. We know we lose about, according to the last statistics, about 50 people per day to malaria. So it's our job as a country to find solution to that problem. And the malaria net is one of those interventions that are needed. It must be done locally. But to now say that the reason why you're asking for this outrageous amount was because the World Bank said so, to me, is beyond the pale.
Asokwa, you know, if you look at or consider the fact that a new vaccine against malaria has come, and you are tempted to ask, look, malaria has been with us from creation. It's a way of life here. We should be above these things, like Caesar's wife.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, it's true. Because when I heard that they are going for loan, to buy mosquito nets, to procure mosquito nets, I was like, is it the same mosquito net that I see being sold, the 1,000, 2,000?
And these nets you see being sold, are supposed to be distributed
free. It's even free. Yes.
Free.
But they are selling it, and Nigerians
WHO sends these mosquito nets to Nigeria free. And that is why you have so many NGOs who, I remember, I think Rotary Club, they give mosquito nets for free when they are doing their rollback malaria program. So for things like this, the FG is not supposed to say, we want to collect loan for them to begin to buy mosquito nets. Because I know the FG has been saying that everybody, every time on Wednesday, they will tell you they are collecting loan for infrastructure. How come malaria mosquito net is not infrastructure? Because the thing is, if you are collecting loan, just like they are always mounting, let it be for infrastructure, not for mosquito net. Because mosquito net, NGOs can go get grants and get mosquito net for us and come here and distribute it for free, rather than going to look for loan. And then even the most funniest thing is for a civil servant to come and tell us that the advice is coming from the World Bank. It shows that there's a problem.
And they give the man on the street the wahala of converting $200 million.
No, because if you know, the thing is,
that'll give you an idea.
Yes, you will collapse.
More malaria.
You will collapse. So they need to make it small, the figure small, so that you won't really start looking for calculator to multiply and all that. So with 200 million, if you mistake it, you just think it's just 200 million naira. But except you look at it properly, that is when you now see the dollar sign.
Are we really like this, or?
Yeah, we are like this. We are like this because if you remember, mosquito, while it is local to Africa, was a worldwide scourge at a point in time.
Yeah.
And some areas of the world have conquered the scourge.
Again, in Venezuela, they have a mosquito that goes into the forest to kill the Anopheles mosquito. People are there, like you said, we already have the vaccine. Even right now, I know that in the US, I don't know what other countries, they have the 10-year malaria shots that will save you from malaria for 10 years. Look at the tropics. Look at the tropics. That runs through Africa, South America, India, and so on.
Japan and all that.
Yeah.
So we have a problem. Mosquito net is part of the intervention. It's not the cure. And we just have to be careful what I think some people are making money off this, and they've been doing so for so long that they forgot that people are now thinking. That's the problem we face.
Asukwa, so the question naturally would be, where do we go from here? The Senate has intervened. So what happens next? Stand down the plan.
No,
and what
citizens?
What citizens?
Do you know my fear is, we are just saying it here now, that okay, fine, it is wrong for them to have even injected that into the budget. But what will happen next is what we don't know, because we have seen several times that committees would, sit down, they would drill MDAs like that when they are doing budgeting process like this, when
they are oversighting
whatever they are doing now. At the end of the day, you will still find out that when the final budget has been done, that same money that we are shouting will still be there. It's either they remove something, or they would have even infused it, look for another tag for it, and then they will put it. Because already for malaria, the budget, there's 450 million budget in the Ministry of Health. They have a budget for malaria already.
To fight the scourge.
Yes, to fight the scourge. So anything that that ministry will need concerning malaria should come out from the 450 million. So, and if they need any other thing, they can partner with private organizations.
I mean, producing mosquito. Well, we stopped production a long time ago, Gani. So, producing things here would be like asking the Nigeria Union of Teachers to produce chalk for the classroom,
or to stop using chalk.
Or stop using chalk. No, it's some of these things. They simple logic. Simple logic.
I mean, what Asukwa said is germane. You have to look within that context. That no matter what we say here, whatever the Senate does, these things have a way of recurring. It will find its way back into the budget. Because, like I said, if you truly took time to go through Nigerian budgets in the last 10 years, the last 20 years, there are certain expenditure that are standard fare that they put there. They don't, whoever is coming to simply inherits that particular thing.
Exactly.
You remember the story of Madam Adenike Grange, Minister of Health.
That's how we do it.
Yeah.
And I said, go ahead and do it.
And Madam quarreled with the money and said, it's... So is this us? I asked the question, you sidestepped it.
Again, I would also take you back into history. Remember the Falaye principle that says that whatever money that remains at the end of the year should be rolled over to the new year. Now, what they normally do is that they find a reason to spend that money between December 31, December 21 and December 31. So create a lot of things that are not relevant. And one said, no, we have to stop it here. But you and I know to not stop. They simply spend more money earlier in the year to make sure by the time you come to that point, you have to refund the money. There's no money left. So you have to understand. That answers your question.
Yeah.
That we know how to sidestep anything.
We are like that.
This is who we are, unfortunately.
Okay. I hear it's systemic. Let's go to our next story. You know, according to the Greek philosopher Socrates, quote, he who is not contented with what he has would not be contented with what he would like to have, end quote. Now, the word here is avarice, which is a bottomless pit without end. The choking news here broke out that 2 public servants amassed a total of 301 houses in the FCT. The latest is that the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, has recovered all of the houses in question. The revelation came at the inauguration of the House of Reps Ad Hoc Committee on Investigation of the Operations of Real Estate Developers. ICPC Chairman Professor Bolaji Owosanoye revealed that 241 buildings, 241 of the buildings, were recovered from one man alone, and the remaining 60 buildings on a large expanse of land belongs to the other man. Foolishness is always the nemesis of many men. Gani?
Well, actually, greed is a disease. The Yorubas will say that Itelonu Loba is when you are contented, that you are truly happy. A lot of people are not happy until they've amassed the world. I think Christians have a saying for that. Somebody who amassed everything and lost his soul. It is just like what the first topic we treated. This is how we think life should be.
Again, begs the question of, so we were made like that?
No, we are not made. We assume, because I don't want to offend people, but I have no choice. In the scale of civilization, we still behave like a 4-year-old. You know, 4-year-olds, they want to own everything. They want all the toys. They want everything in the house. They want all the food. They just want attention. That's who we are. We are like toddlers in the civilization scale. Because it doesn't make sense. What you are going to do with 640 houses? It's different for you to have 640 industries. Or different for you to have 640 companies. We are talking about 640 houses, one man alone. This is beyond greed. If there's another word for it, please help me out.
Jide, is there any, did I say Jide? Asukwa, is there any other word for greed?
Because it's beyond greed.
Otherwise, how much does a man need in a 70-year lifespan?
See, the thing is, even looking at even man, if you are going to sleep at all, you are sleeping in one room.
One bed.
Just one bed. Not that you cut your hand and you dismember yourself and put them in.
Man has not got there. If he thinks that way, we'll get there.
Well, once we know as human beings that when I want to lay my head, it is only one bed. And not that I will not have different houses, 241 buildings for just one man, 60 for one man. And they are civil servants. It shows how greedy that some people
are avaricious. Some people
they are very contented. And you know, sometimes you go to Abuja, you'll be looking at houses
that are empty.
There is not even no lights. You won't see any light. Everywhere is empty. They will just tell you, it's one civil servant, it's one palm sec that owns the place.
All right.
Know, so I don't know. Sometimes I wonder.
Stop breaking your head over it. Let's sound our colleague Babajide Kolade Otitoju out. He's on Skype. Jide, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Good afternoon to you. Okay, we are supposed to join Jide on the virtual.
It's not ready yet.
Looks like he's not ready for us. But again,
Okay, it's on.
Jide, are you ready for
with
us? Okay, we have network wahala. But Gani, there's this saying that civil servants taught politicians how to be corrupt, right or wrong. Is it debatable?
Well, I'm sure there's this old UK sitcom comedy, I'm sure you know it, called Yes Minister. And later it became Yes Prime Minister. It's basically to collaborate what you said, that civil servants control the system, and that the ministers are just beds of passage, just like the great example that you gave. And the way they do is very simple. Any new development, any new layout will be known by the civil servants.
Because they will give the C of O and all that stuff.
So what they do is that they will buy those lands before they are available to the public.
With the funds are coming from
the
where?
funds will come from cooperatives and all that, because they will say because they are insiders, they will pay token. Let's say something that will go to an outsider at 2 million, they will be asked to pay 300,000, and they can spread it over 5 years. So out of their salary, they pay 20 naira today, 30 naira tomorrow, and get small loans to balance. Meanwhile, that particular layout will not be functional for the next 10 years. So what they've done is to ensure that they have the prime land in that estate.
And allow it to appreciate.
Not only appreciate, they now drive roads and
lights, the layout
facilities down to that area. So the more you come in and say, okay, these are good roads. The light is there.
It's there.
And we buy it. So what you bought at 300,000 that goes for 2 million at that point, all you have to do was sit on it. And in 10 years, you can sell it for 300 million.
And do what with the money?
And then build those things you are complaining about.
No, I so-called complained about them. I stopped going to Abuja. So I don't.
So that's how the system works. You have to understand the dynamics. And it's not peculiar to the federal government alone. State government, local government, everybody does it. This will be a shock to somebody who does not live in Nigeria. But to Nigerians who know how the system works, this is nothing. I once knew a man that drives an old 504 that people help him push every day. They will help him push it to start.
Yeah.
The day he was giving his daughter away, the mansion that we went to, if he is earning an honest salary, he cannot build it in 500 years.
But did you people raise any eyebrows?
Even if you raise eyebrows, I will report to ICPC. For what? Nothing will happen. Because the IPC man is also a civil servant.
Asokwa, this is part of the problem. You don't punish wrongdoing and you expect it to stop.
So you are saying...
And these are civil servants who sit at in the front pew at church and go to the mosque on Friday. And when we talk corruption, they join the fray. Of
course, and they always say politicians are corrupt. They will always tag it to the politicians. But citizen, let me also say that it's not all civil servants, so that people don't misconstrue what we are saying. Not all civil servants are corrupt.
Yeah, he knows that some of his brothers are in the civil
service. No, not all. So that they don't think that we are saying all the civil servants.
Less than 1%.
Yes,
the
you understand.
Because like the example I gave you now, the man has not stolen anything. He only took advantage of access.
Yes, he
has not stolen anybody's money.
Yes, it's just like the one. Okay, there's a procurement officer that was caught in the Niger Delta affairs some years back. That stole almost 600 million.
I hope you have not reported him.
No, ICPC. That's what I'm telling you.
I hear we can team up with Jide now on Skype. Good afternoon, Jide. How do you do this Sunday?
Happy Sunday, Citizen Jones and the crew.
Yeah, we thank you. You want to go back on the... we're talking about the officers who... 2 of them...
241 buildings.
301 buildings. One had 246, the other one 60, and so on. Are you surprised?
No, I'm not surprised because I actually investigated a story some years back in respect of the National Judicial Institute, where a level 9 officer was discovered to own estates in choice areas of Abuja. Now, if a level 9 officer will have estates to herself in Abuja, I'm not talking about just a cluster of buildings, estates in different parts of Abuja and in the choice areas, why are we surprised that an individual will have up to 241 buildings? Remember, just after this government got to power, there was a high-ranking staff in the Federal Civil Service whom they found about 80 exotic cars, including bulletproof jeeps, inside his yard. Today, it is not known what was done to that particular senior civil servant. 80 exotic cars. Exotic cars, none of them less than a Prado Jeep. And some of them were bulletproof cars. So if one of those vehicles was costed at that time, costed at about 20 million. If you now tally everything, you know how much that individual was worth. So there are so many of them, especially in Abuja. Abuja is the home of corruption, and many of them are buying houses even outside Nigeria. So it's not even here alone. Yes. But the system that permits so much greed is what we have to look at. How come people are able to steal so much without being detected? What kind of system permits this? The other day, the ICPC raised an alarm that civil servants opened illegal bank accounts so as to bypass the TSA. So if we came up with the idea of the TSA, so that there won't be numerous accounts opened here and there where stolen monies are kept. The fact that we have TSA, the fact that we have the BVN has not stopped civil servants and politicians from opening illegal accounts that effectively bypass TSA, so that some monies that are we make officially through our 63 revenue generating agencies don't actually go to the coffers of government. They are diverted into these accounts illegally opened. So we've got to look at ourselves in the mirror and ask whether this system is not abetting the unfathomable greed that we are talking about here.
Yeah,
so
yes, and what troubles me, as indeed my colleagues here, is wrongdoings are hardly punished.
There are no consequences.
And no consequences. Yes. Nobody cares a hoot, and it's all business as usual.
Yeah, we've seen people who are arraigned in court, and when those cases are discontinued, you and I will not know.
Exactly.
The arraigned people, you think that there is a serious attempt to punish corruption and any wrongdoing for that matter. Within a short time, you see those people walking the streets. So we appear to reward the excesses of the in our country.
All right then. All right. Thank you, Jide. But you stand by. We'll get back to you. GKB, but you see, while somebody like me will fight to live within the agreed and stipulated rules and regulations, there are folks who break the rules and get away. Somebody dares you, report me, nothing will happen in this same country.
If I have listened to a very rich man once said that things you get away with in Nigeria, you cannot get away with it in the Republic of Benin. Just crossing the border will reset your
mind.
That's because in a system that works, you know. I once said on this program and some other programs that some countries are already looking for ways beyond the conventional.
Yeah.
I know there's something called unexplained wealth acts in some countries. They just don't want to know how you make the money. What they want to know is, this is your income.
Are you paying tax?
No, they will take it back. They just don't make it a show of it. They will not make a show of it in public.
Yeah.
They will come to you privately. Your income for the entire salary for your year, you've made 40 million. Your assets is 3.5 billion. Please explain how many times your father or grandfather died and left you money for you to make this money. If you cannot explain, they will now come to terms. We will take this.
And you will not go to court?
Not go to court, but they will not make a show of it.
Yeah, okay.
They will not grandstand.
Because the system is already there.
The system is there to make sure. You know, that people always steal. It's not a matter of hunger. Some people are just have that light fingers.
Oh, yeah.
Even sons and children of millionaires will go to a store, something they can afford, we prefer to steal it.
And that is out of here. Okay, let's go to our next story. You know, for the opposition People's Democratic Party, you want to know it was a make it or break it, or make or break situation yesterday. The convention held in Abuja, in spite of the merry-go dancing and so on. So, as we speak now, the PDP has Dr. Iyorchia Ayu as the duly elected national chairman of the party, replacing embattled Uche Secondus. Now, the party's future may be defined by the success or otherwise of the Congress. Asukwa, for the PDP, you know, waiting to take over power in 2023, less than a year plus now. The convention was important, and so they have a chairman in Iyorchia Ayu. But Iyorchia Ayu is a gentleman they must look at a second time, because he's a man who wants to, he wants to be his own man.
Exactly. You know, he was the former president of the Senate, I think in the Third Republic.
Yeah.
And I know him to be a left-wing. He's a reformist, and he's radical. You know, so if you are looking,
he's older now.
Yeah, he's older. So I know that even with his humble, he's going to bring another face entirely to the PDP. But I don't know how the PDP is going to act like the attack dog that the APC was before they took over power.
Yeah.
Because we need to see an opposition party that will be able to tackle this government and hold them into account for every promises that they made. Because what we are seeing the PDP doing is they are not giving us what we need, which is oppose this government. If they told us, okay, that they are going to give us light in 4 years, they should be able to say, okay, fine, you have not been able to do this. And they can even profile some 1 or 2 ideas, at least so that Nigerians will know that, okay, fine, okay, the PDP is even bringing one special idea that by the time we give them a chance again, they can, perform. So that is what we need to see the opposition do. Because we don't want an opposition who will just be laid back when the APC or the government brings out something, they attack. When they attack, as they are attacking, let them bring only one alternative or solution. And then Nigerians will know that, okay, fine, they are ready. Because now they have a chairman that is acceptable to everybody, to a cross-section of the PDP.
Not everybody. It's consensus.
No, of course, because it was consensus. I'm not sure there's anybody that will say, no, that man is not. Definitely, you know that the governors had a hand in this. Because it's the governors that own the party now. If the governors say no, there's not a who win. But the governors have, I think they are already bought into his own.
So one does not want to sound like a
broken record.
Yeah, a broken record by saying, make we dey watch and see. GKB,
I agree with you.
Do you teach new dogs?
Old tricks.
Old tricks and so on.
Actually, you teach old dogs new tricks. but it's okay.
Will old dogs agree to learn new tricks?
Well, PDP had no choice but to learn new tricks. They've never been in this position before. They were the party in power for 16 years.
Yeah.
It's like a beautiful woman who is now forced to go out and hustle. She's so used to being pampered that to go out and hustle will be new territory for her. So they are not used to being in opposition. Don't forget, this is the party of the generals. You have to understand the dynamics under it. And then the party is also the platform of those who want to take over the next Nigeria going forward. Yeah. Those that we inherited in 1999 are dying out, both figuratively and politically.
Yeah.
And so a lot of new people are trying to come on board. And where do you go after being a governor? Because the governor in Nigeria is, if there's something called deputy god, the Nigerian governor is one. So where do you go from being a governor? You go to the Senate to retire?
Yeah.
As what? So a lot of people want to be governor, they want to be president, they want to be vice president. So PDP provides a platform for them to flex those muscles and see what they can do with it.
Yeah.
So it's not really what you can do. IU is just a compromise of contending forces who are pulling the parties in different directions. What we need to see is how the party handles the tickets for the presidents.
Yeah,
that's the true test.
It's key.
This is just primary school stuff. It's when it comes to the real price between the southeast and the north that we know whether PDP is PDP or just somebody's playground.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to Jide again at his hangout. Jide, the PDP is here. The convention has come and gone, and a new chair is in the place. And I hear some 20 national officers have taken offices. Will anything change?
Well, I'm not sure that we'll see a significant change in the character of the PDP, because basically what has happened is let us face our crisis. Let's discover what crisis we need to address before 2023, ahead of the convention of the APC. We have an opportunity to face our own problems squarely, address those problems before it gets too close to the 2023 elections. That's what they have done. The two parties have crises. The two parties have different political tendencies that are not likely to forgive one another. But what the PDP is trying to do is, let's have this convention. Whatever problem arises from this convention, we can begin to manage before the 2023 elections. The APC will have their own convention as well, and we believe that in the aftermath of the APC convention, they will have problems. But let's have some form of head start. Let's have an edge over them by having our own convention before them and beginning to address the problems arising from our convention before them. You look at what they have done by bringing out someone like Iochiayu. The decision of the governors, majority of who were from the south, the PDP governors, was, look, let the chairmanship go to the north. That way, because the norm has always been that the zone, the zone that produces the president, the chairmanship candidate, chairman of the party, cannot produce the presidential candidate. We saw what the PDP did some years back when, on the eve of their election, less than 24 hours to their convention, to their presidential primaries, they had to change their national chairman. So that both the chairman of the party as well as the presidential candidate do not come from either from the same southern Nigeria. So right now, the moment the PDP governors who are largely from southern Nigeria decided that the chairmanship should be zoned to the north, within the north, it was then agreed that, look, this will not in any way stop the north from contesting for the chairmanship of the party. And because the heavy hitters, the suspected heavy hitters from who are still interested in the presidency on the platform of the PDP are from the core north. That's talking about people like Atiku, Kwankwaso, Sule Lamido, and the rest of them. They then decided that, okay, let's have someone from the North Central, because in their view, the North Central is not likely to position itself strongly for the
office of president.
Yeah. Yes. So that's why they went for someone from the North Central, believing that the bulk of the people who will still struggle to pick the presidential ticket will be from the far north. That's talking about the northwest, the northeast, you know, and the rest of them. So that was how they came up with the idea of an Iyorchia. And Iyorchia is, yes, a man that can be trusted in terms of standing by his convictions. Remember, he fell out with Babangida because he would not agree to use the floor of the Senate to discountenance the June 12th election. That was why they fell out at that time, and he had to leave as a Senate president. So they've seen in him somebody who can be trusted to steer the ship of the party, make the party strong again. But as we have seen, the domination of government, many people from within the PDP. But even if they go to the APC, it's the same scenario that they are still going to face, because governors have made themselves so strong that it is what the governors want that they impose on the party. So right now, looking at even some of those who have emerged from this exercise, you see a lot of people that you cannot describe as heavyweights, people that you can't describe as people who are very famous within the party. But the governor settled for them all the same. When you see an Arapaja, for example, imagine as the deputy chairman and representing the South. Coming from the Southwest. This was the candidate that defeated Fayoshe's candidate during the Southwest zonal elections of the party. It means that Governor Seyi Makinde has consolidated. It means that a new power bloc has imposed itself, so to say, on the party. Yes, a few of those positions were actually contested, but the strength of the governors, the power of the governors to decide what happens within the party has now been made eminently clear by what we have seen. Just look at the remaining 20 officers. There are not many big names on that list. It just shows that these are the people that these governors who are the lords of the manor can trust. These are the people that they can trust, and they are the ones that they have afforded those positions.
Yeah, thank you very kindly. GKB, 2023, my worry is about this phrase, take over. Our late friend, Jimmy Johnson, said, all we hear is take over, take over. Is there a handover? I don't know if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
Because when the PDP tells you it must grab power, is it for the sake of grabbing power? Well, and so where is the electorate in all of this?
Well, the electorate will play their part when the time comes. But you and I know that as of today, you cannot start anything from scratch. For 2023, you still have to rely on those two platforms that are available. For now, APC and PDP. And whatever was the fallout from this convention and that of the APC. The Arakwaja scenario, of course, I know Ambassador Arakwaja very well. I'm from Ibadan, so it's a very small family, as it were. Is the fact that obviously what they are working towards is creating a north-east ticket for 2023. I don't know in which direction to go. I don't know who will be on top of the tickets. But that's the scenario that these particular results are reflecting right now. And of course, when you use terms like take over or take power, it goes with the territory. It's a political talk that people use a lot to just make sure that you understand what they are doing when they play this game. Because whether we like it or not, the game of politics is essentially to take power. There's no other reason. Because you want people to believe in your own point of view. And you can only do that if you are in a position to enforce your will on what people think.
Asoko, some positions, about 21 of them, were settled for yesterday, or settled, I should say. The National Secretary, Samuel Anyao, from the Southeast, unopposed. The National Treasurer, Ahmed Mohamed, National Organizing Secretary, Umar Bature, National Financial Secretary, Daniel Woyegikuru. I imagine that will be from the Riverine area.
Samuel Anyao was in the Senate, before. I think the one that even carried most of the headline, apart from Yocha, was the youth leader, the 25-year-old, youth leader. Because I know PDP has, most times they don't actually give
youth leader Mohammed Suleiman.
Yeah, a young guy from.
He contested.
Yeah, from Kaduna, So that was the only person out of the lot, apart from Samuel Anyao, who I think has been in the Senate. That is the only person that I think so many people were saying, these people I think they are ready, in quotes. And just like GKB said, politics is interest driven. It is for them. When they say take power, they know why they want to take power. They will not give us the voting power. They won't give us, and we are the ones that are supposed to give them power, not for them to say they want to take power.
This is a global thing.
Yeah, because one thing about political parties, I know political parties used to be from bottom top. Whereby, if I am a member of a political party,
you were a co-joiner, a co-founder,
because there will be dues that I will pay. There will be some small money that I will contribute, just like every other person in that political party, and then we will make the political party reasonable and strong. But right now, just like BKO said, it is the governors, because they are the ones that have the money.
State money, not their
citizen. Whether it's state money, it is money.
Money is money.
Money is money.
Okay.
They are the ones. So if they are canvassing the whole Nigeria, even if you are a member of that political party, your dues does not make sense to them, because the money for 2023 election.
We changed it.
Because they want to take power.
I think the thing started in 2003, I think, when the governor decided that they wanted to change who the presidential candidate of the party will be. Of course, they failed, as you know, in the famous prostration metaphor that came out. But from that point, they've never really let go.
Yeah.
It's like they took power, they realized this thing is sweet now, and they held on to it. And that's why I keep telling people that what we run is not a democracy, it's a governocracy. If there's a word like that. Basically, a government by the governors, for the governors, in the interest of the governors.
GKB Asukwa, a Waziri is reaching us from Taraba. Good afternoon, Waziri. How do you do?
Good afternoon, Babajide, who is on the Skype. Good afternoon, my good people, Citizen John.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Nigerians.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
First and foremost, I want to commend you guys for this wonderful job that you are doing to us, enlightening Nigerians on the politics of Nigerians.
Yes, Waziri. Thank you.
Okay. I want to comment on this PDP issue of yesterday.
Go ahead.
Go on.
Yeah, on.
The decision of the governor that is overriding the party, in fact, the problem we are facing in this country is our governors. They only make decisions that will favor them, not the decision that will favor the masses at the grassroots. Sir, I'm telling you vividly, most of the people that you are seeing in that convention, some people just went there for celebration. In their spirit, they are not with PDP. Let me tell you. Because some of the governors are not performing in their state. This is a clear truth. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Jide, let's get back to you. I'm looking at the rundown of the officers, national officers of the PDP. The new national publicity secretary is Debo Ologun Nagba. Did I get that right?
Nagba, yeah.
Okay. So the new national publicity secretary is the gentleman I talked about now. Yeah, Ologun Agba. Very key, you know, the office of
that's the voice of the party.
Because that was the
publicity
secretary.
secretary.
That was the first place I even checked that.
Yes, I was looking out for someone, a prominent figure, someone that we are familiar with, someone who could really sell the party to everyone, because that's what the party needs at this time.
Exactly.
PDP's name had been battered by 16 years of misrule. 16 years that many Nigerians will wish that they obliterated from their memory. So at this time, the party needs someone capable of convincing our people, an energetic publicity officer who is also capable propaganda along with his task of informing the people. And the PDP has some people who can play that role effectively. I remember the former commissioner for commissioner for information of River State, Tam, a certain Tam West.
Tam
also.
West.
Yeah.
Tam West. Extremely capable in such circumstances. But you and I know that in most cases, it is not even merit that these governors are after. Somebody just insists that, look, it has to be me that will produce the publicity secretary. Basically, these positions were shared among the governors. You are the one bringing so person, I'm the one bringing another person. So at the end of the day, it does not matter whether that person is good enough or is well known by Nigerians or has a proven track record. I really pity the party because the new national chairman is saying, oh, PDP is back to rescue Nigeria from the terrible mess we have been in the last 6 years. It takes more than merely mouthing those words.
Yeah.
The party has to be reorganized. Remember, some time ago, they were even thinking of changing their name. That will tell you that within the APC, they realized that, within the PDP, they realized that they had let Nigerians down and that they needed to do something drastic.
To obliterate the memory.
what is it that they are bringing to the table now? The coming days will show to us whether the PDP is prepared to change, whether the PDP is prepared to mount a very strong challenge. During the 2019 election, of course, the party did well in the governorship elections because they reclaimed some states from the APC. But what we have seen is a case of 2 steps forward and 4 steps backwards. Some of the states that they reclaimed from the APC have been lost through the defection of their member to the same party that they are telling Nigerians to reject. Their own members are defecting to that party. So how do you then make yourself strong ahead of the 2019 election when you cannot organize yourselves properly? Some of the governors that we saw at this convention yesterday, people can bet that before 2023, some of those governors will have joined the APC. So this is the situation. As long as their own members continue to find the APC a place of refuge, a place that they need to go to, more and more Nigerians will not take the party seriously because that's not the right message to send.
Thank you very kindly. GKB, I'm seeing large poster of former VP Atiku Abubakar. So he's
a major force within the party.
And you talked about the Northeast.
No, I said the way this thing is configured.
Yeah.
Looks likely that the tickets will be the Northeast tickets, but I don't know
for the office of president.
The one who's going to be on top of the tickets. But the way it's being shared, for example, the vice deputy chairman South is from the Southwest. So that presupposes that whatever else is coming at that level to the South will go to the
Southeast,
other side as well.
Yeah, or South.
He speaks like one of them. he must know the dynamics.
No, because you have to do give and take.
No, of course, that is what it means.
Politics is about just making sure that you get as much. Like you said, when you look at those who came into office, you see the stamp of certain governors on them. Yeah. And that means you have somebody in the cabinet.
Even this man, the former minister for transport also, Osita. Chijoka. He was on Twitter. He was saying that he was seeing posters of Saraki, Atiku, all over being displayed. But I didn't see any poster of any Igbo person.
What stopped you from
doing it? I was asking myself. That was the same question I was. You are young, so why can't you also do poster and be ambitious
for you to become president? Since your NYC. So why not do your own poster? Are you too young to be president?
Yeah, of course. It's not too. So that is what we are saying.
That's why
people should not.
We like grandstanding.
They should not shy away. Particularly people from the Southeast.
Yeah.
We know that he can talk. He has that capacity for him to be president. But him trying to.
That's debatable.
At least let him even put his name on the, because if you now start saying that, it is only one side and my side, they are not, what of you? Can't you also vie for that position?
I think the heavy hitters from the South, especially from the South and the Southeast, will come out once they see the direction.
Exactly.
That, this thing is taking.
Or come out a day too late or too early.
No. Like I said, this is the first step.
Okay.
You are going to travel. You make sure your car is in
and it's a long travel.
It's a long trip. So what they've done today is just to check the oil, check the alignment, make sure there is fuel.
So by tomorrow they will now close the
person who drive it is still sleeping somewhere.
Okay. And then you wake the driver.
But the vehicle is ready.
He's ready. He's just ready.
All right. That's it. We'll take this breather, and please stay with us. Quite a lot to come. This is a Sunday edition of Journalist Hangouts, reaching you from TVC, Nigeria. All right, folks, to our next story. That takes us to Anambra State. In addition to 34,000 officers and men of the Nigeria Police posted to Anambra State to ensure the safety of the voter ahead of the November 6th governorship election, an addition of 20,000 personnel of the Nigeria Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, must be a fait accompli, as the French say, regarding the polls. Commandant General of the Corps, Dr. Ahmed Audi, says the special forces would be drafted to key areas where they would ensure safety of lives and property. Well, GKB, after a man has done his best in these things, there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, all that is required for us to do our best, given the context of the S factor, which comes in, of course, into play whenever you've done your best and it's not good enough. But what the Nigerian military or security personnel are trying to do is to assure the people of Anambra State that it is safe to come out, that we are going to meet force with force, and that you are now free to come out and do your civic duty. Because I have the fear that if the last election was 34% turnout, somebody said, this will be less than 20. So this show of force is necessary, it's required to let people come out and safely do whatever they're supposed to do. But having done that, if it doesn't work out, it's not the fault of the security people.
So apprehension is there. Is it about the people being afraid, not too sure about what will happen to them, or the state government not being able to assure them of safety and security?
No, the thing is, it's even beyond the state government. It's just, this is about the apprehension of being killed, because already IPOB has said from 5th to 10th, sit at home.
But IPOB had also told you and I that it was not part of this no election in Anambra.
Who is going to believe that? That is the problem.
I'm going to risk your life.
You know, the thing is, citizens have in-laws there. They were saying, I hope you are not coming for the election. I say, I feel I will come. But they are saying, they themselves, not that they don't want to vote, they want to. But because they are hearing two different and conflicting statements. Oh, this one is saying, come out, come and vote. There is assurance. But another one is saying that there's 5th to 10th. IPOB has, I think the government has allowed them for this long for them to make sure that that sit at home lingers in the mind of the people. So on Mondays is now a regular thing. People don't go out on Mondays.
Because
they even go to school on Saturdays.
Now, because of fear, they now go to school on Saturdays.
But IPOB had said it was not stopping the people from going out to vote. There are two different things.
That is what I'm saying. IPOB, you are saying IPOB said. Which of the IPOB?
Which faction?
Which faction? That's what I'm saying.
IPOB is factionalized.
There are even cells, smaller cells that are their own boss. You know what happened in Somalia now? I think we are moving towards that particular scenario where somebody will just decide at a particular. No, we are even there. We are there in Sokoto now. We have people are paying bandits for what
for safety.
You know the old Chicago.
Yeah.
You have to pay for protection. Basically. Sorry to divert. Back to Anambra. I think what Asuko is saying is the fact that who are you going to trust your life to?
Exactly.
Is it the governor that is not there, or IPOB that has shown it has boots on ground?
But mine is 34,000 plus 20,000 is 54.
Yes, even the soldiers will also be there, but where will they be manning will be another problem. Because if they are just saying, if they are just going to be in Oka or be in the key states, hold on, in the key local governments, they are there. And maybe they have somewhere like Akute.
Oh, where this crisis is.
Where the crisis is maybe inside the forest or very in the remote areas.
Or one of the rural areas.
Will they be there to protect them?
Asoko, I imagine that ours here is to give vent to what government is saying. Central government is saying.
Look, security-wise, people to come out and
we have done all a man should do. We leave the rest to
the actors.
to the actors. Well, I forgot to mention that Jide was in his safe Kogi state. So let's go back to Jide in his enclave there. Jide, so Or Anambra, the election will go on, like it or not, with the addition of 20,000 personnel of the NSCDC. Or what do you think?
Yes, no. Talk to him.
We can't hear Jide. We can't hear Jide, please. Give us his audio, please.
Country. We must not get to that point as a country where some individuals would imagine themselves to be bigger than the state and determine what happens in the state at any given time. Nigeria is a sovereign nation and is a nation governed by laws. The Anambra election is a product of our laws. The current governor is approaching the end of his tenure. A process has to be put in place to replace him. That process is the election. The culmination of that process is the election and the declaration of the winner. The Constitution does not envisage a situation in which if a band of people stop the election from taking place, what happens? There is no provision in the Constitution for an interim governor in case an election is disrupted. So an INEC has assured us that it has no plan to postpone this election. So all that we are waiting for is for the security agencies to show their strength, man the streets. The presence of security men and women in large numbers manning the streets of Anambra State. Thankfully, the states of the southeast are not really large. There are some local governments in the north that are bigger than the biggest states in the southeast, just one local government. So the state is not too big to be manned properly by our security operatives. If we have police, and the police have confirmed that 34,000 of its personnel are already on ground in Anambra State. So I want to begin to see from Monday those policemen who have been mobilized to Anambra patrolling the streets, sending a clear signal to the people that if they come out on election day, they will be effectively protected. I want to see the civil defense personnel, 20,000 of them, join the police in those drills that they do, meant to send a clear signal to either IPOB or the cult groups that have taken it upon themselves to enforce even directives that IPOB itself has revoked. For example, the Monday sit-at-home directive has already been revoked by the mainstream IPOB group. But we have young men, cultists, according to the governor of Ebonyi, forcing people to stay at home, putting people's lives in jeopardy. It is possible to have this election. That is my own view, given the fact that we have enough security personnel to make that happen. And the police in Nigeria have the air wing. The job of the air wing is to patrol the skies and ensure that wherever there is disturbance, they can easily send a detachment of soldiers or policemen to go and smoke out those disturbances. So we should be able to have the elections. I agree with the IG that militarization of elections have consequences. But in the circumstance that we have found ourselves, there is no alternative to policing our streets effectively, policing the perimeters of the polling centers effectively, so that our people can have the confidence to come out and exercise their franchise. Yes, people are scared, but I still think that because it is important, this election is important, because the ABGA candidate, for example, has built what you cannot even call a movement. The day that Professor Soludo had his rally in Onitsha, the Onitsha market was closed. It means, and they went for the rally. It means that such people, for example, I want to believe that on election day, people can afford to close their market because Soludo was going to have a rally, can of course show up on election day. We are not going to have a fantastic turnout as such, but we should be able to have a turnout if the security agencies provide the people with the confidence that they need to go out and exercise their franchise.
Yeah, except Jide, that Soludo is only being a candidate of the ruling party there. So it was not he, Soludo, that caused the market to be closed. But then let's talk about the LP candidate for this same election, Obiora Agbasimalo, who was kidnapped on September 18. That is a major concern there.
I'll talk to the same law.
Okay.
It's a major concern, but just like Jide said, it will not still stop the election. The election will
the show must go on.
Yes, And now that we have this huge number of security personnel in Anambra, I would love to see a show of force tomorrow.
Or every day from tomorrow?
No, yeah. Let's even start from Monday. That the other set was, they were actually saying that people should sit at home. Let's start from Monday.
Okay.
Patrol, do the show of force together with the Nigerian police, the civil defense, all of them. So this will build the confidence of the people ahead.
You can run the process in.
Yes. So on Tuesday, the same thing. On Wednesday, the same. Thursday, so that by Friday, people now know that, okay, on Saturday,
they are prepared.
I am going to go out and vote.
And so that nothing will change.
And nothing will happen.
Even in the neighboring state of Delta, I know that the commander for the mobile police, I think ACP Ahmed Latif, is already doing runs
around the Asaba
area.
Yeah.
So that not only will they know that they can come out in Anambra, that those people have nowhere to run to. So that way, ACP Ahmed and his team are already showing the flag.
But I dare say, in closing now, I dare say that ahead of the election on Saturday, the roll call of candidates is a who is who in Anambra.
Anambra is a very affluent state.
Oh, yeah.
And when you come from a very affluent state, it will take a very affluent person to run for the post of the governor.
And they have the highest number of billionaires in Nigeria.
That's debatable. Billionaires that you can see.
All right, okay then. Let's go to our next story. These are times that try men's souls. The World Bank has condemned the continued spending of resources on petrol subsidy, which could hit the 3 trillion naira mark by year's end. And so the World Bank country director for Nigeria, Shabam Choudhury, I hope I got that right, said the government could channel the money spent on subsidy to primary health care, basic education, and rural road repair. According to the World Bank, the time to remove the controversial subsidy is now. This is a sound reasoning, if you ask me, GKB.
Yeah, we've been saying this for 30 years, since the 1986. Remember, the SAP.
SAP, yeah, 1986.
That's what they call it. The government should remove itself from subsidizing anything. Meanwhile, in most countries, there's a social contract between the government and the governed. There's really nowhere in this world that you have total unadulterated capitalism. No. Not in the UK, not in the US. There will always be some sort of subsidy. In the US, the food prices are controlled. It's not enough to ensure that there will not be riots on the streets. You understand what I'm saying? So I agree that we need to create some sort of elements to get out of this stuff, but cannot be total. Because the problem we run into, we are still suffering from today, is that haphazard implementation of the SAP policies of 1986.
And so, Asoko, understanding the politics of SAP is my concern here. Remember that today's DG of World Trade Organization, Nigeria's Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, wrote a book, Fighting Corruption is Dangerous. And she cited subsidy contractors, subsidy regime boys, threatening her, kidnapping the mother, asking her to resign from government. So this subsidy thing is not too many people know.
No, of course, it's a big scam, you know, and thank God it's coming from somewhere outside, you know, giving us this humble advice, because we've been saying every year subsidy, petrol subsidy, because not even food subsidy, you know, petrol subsidy. We have been making some few people billionaires from this petrol subsidy.
Obnoxiously rich.
And if you see some of them, you'll be amazed, you know. And even when, in quote, they try to even say, oh, there were some petrol thieves that they took to court. Afterwards, we didn't even hear anything again, you know. So now this is a good advice for us. Instead of channeling monies into what we call petrol subsidy, let's give ourselves some time. I think even the Ministry of Finance has said, okay, by the second quarter, it should be out. Deregulation, that is when deregulation will come. But it is better they start sensitizing Nigerians ahead, so that by the time deregulation comes, people will not say, oh, why are you selling petrol for 300? Why are you selling petrol for 400?
It's because, like,
you know, so
I'm sorry to cut you. Just like you said, it's because we refuse to obey the market laws that we ourselves put in place. There is no way on this God's
Sometimes they are called market forces.
Yeah, but the laws that are guiding
there are laws.
Which to me are like evil forces.
No, but you and I know that if you want to sell petrol in Lagos at 150, it will be nearly impossible to sell at 150 at Maiduguri, knowing the costs that will come over it. And the earlier you come to that realization, the better. But you don't have a uniform anything. It's this problem of uniformity that is killing.
Because the thing is, government is also part and parcel of the industry. So if you are saying you want to allow market forces to, you know, to determine price, government should not regulate.
Allow the market.
Allow the market to determine.
The market
yes, to determine
regulate
the price.
Because it can.
You know, so if that is done, people can even say, okay, fine, I want to. You and I can decide, okay, let's go and take this petrol outside and sell based on how much that we will make profit from. And that is where the problem is. So now with the signing of the bill, that the PIA that we have, we should be able to see how the regulation can even come in place.
Okay, then this is the time to invite a gentleman an economist, to join us. Nnemeka Obiareri is a guest we think should share the platform with us, and why not? Obiareri, how do you do, sir?
Very fine, my brother. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, how much of the politics of subsidy do you understand? Can you share with us?
To be honest with you, everything about subsidy in Nigeria from 1999 till now has been a game played by the government at the center, using NNPC and the Petroleum Ministry as their sleaze conduit pipe to play games. Let me tell you, Nigeria has no business continually subsidizing for petroleum products. We are the only country in the whole of West Africa that is still engaged and hooked up to these Ponzi games, that is only enriching the few and impoverishing the majority. It's not politics. It's simply a game of what I call a game of elitist gangsters. People who are privileged to be in a position of power, they lack the political will to do the right changes that will empower the majority. I will give you an example. In 2016, I want us to understand one of the reasons why Nigerians voted for the APC government was what happened in 2010, 2011, 2012. and the offshoot of the revelations of the House of Representative Committee that unraveled monumental fraud in the subsidy racketing and the marketeering in the oil and gas sector. Nigerians were outraged. They took to the streets and they sacked the Jonathan government and brought in the Buhari government, who of course told them that was not like subsidy, that they will get away, they will make away with all these things. In 2016, we had a golden opportunity of doing away with this cancer called subsidy. Kachukwu was the then petroleum minister, minister for state for petroleum, and then GMD of NNPC. And in fact, he was the one who told us that the true consumption of petroleum products in Nigeria every day was about 32 million liters a day. And that the 52 million liters that we are banded under the Deziani era, we are fraught with fraud. 30% of what they claim to have imported, we are not imported. As at that time, the market has already crashed and the oil was selling in a way that we are not paying subsidy. That was a time we pleaded, some of us wrote articles then, begging them to let go and to deregulate the market and make it open for free entry of technically capable and deep-pocketed investors to come into Nigeria. But of course, they did not want to let go the goose that lays the golden egg, because they had an urge 2019, because NNPC they normally use that ministry to raise monies for the kind of game they do during elections. South Africa do not produce 1/10 of the kind of crude oil that we produce. South Africa does not have the consumption capacity we have in terms of the white petroleum products. South Africa has in South Africa 540,000 barrels per day capacity refineries built by Total, built by Shell, built by Chevron. They don't have any in Nigeria. Why? Because we do not, and we have refused to deregulate our market, to make it transparent, free of manipulations. In 2016, they told us that our consumption was like 2 million liters, and which is true, because that number tallies with the numbers produced by the United States Energy Administration Agency and other reputable global agencies. But I want to tell you what happened. In 2016, when they brought him late Mike Antibaru, they had an eye for 2019, and they started playing games. From 32 million barrels liters a day consumption, they moved it to 60. From 60, as of today, they tell us that they are importing and distributing 102 million liters a day in Nigeria. And when you ask them, they will tell you that it is being smuggled. Let me tell you, between Cameroon, Niger, Chad, Burkina Faso, Benin Republic, and Togo, the contiguous bordering nations, the consumption of PMS a day in Cameroon, Niger, Chad, Burkina Faso, Togo, and Benin Republic is less than 9 million liters a day. If you add 9 million liters to the confirmed consumption, PPRA have their records. DEPR told us in February 2020 that our daily consumption was 32 million liters a day. If you add 9 million to it, it is 41 million liters. Where did we take the remaining 60 million liters to?
That's what I meant by the politics of subsidy, which many of us don't understand. But Jide, I know that we can't subsidize your thoughts on this subject matter.
Yeah, I've always demanded that we put an end to the subsidy regime, because in my view, it is profiting a few Nigerians at the expense of the rest of us. So we have to do something about it. After all, the president once said, I'm quoting him now, he said, who is subsidizing who? So we've got to do something. A few individuals are making money off this subsidy. That has been proven over the years and is still on. So why don't we just simply take the advice of this World Bank country director and do the right thing? States have not got the money to provide roads for people. I'm in Lokoja, I can see the Ganaja road that the federal government, that is owned by the federal government, is in such a decrepit state. There are road projects that have been awarded as far back as 2006 in Kogi State by the federal government that remain the way they were. They've not been fixed. we will never find enough money to fix critical infrastructure where we continue to fritter money on subsidy that merely enriches a few. If we are saying that so much petroleum product goes to our borders, gets smuggled across our borders, what are we doing about it? It means that we have to make it unprofitable for people to smuggle. People will smuggle when they can see that the price at which you sell it is way lower than the price at which it is sold by our neighbors. And that's why we have to do something. We just must be prepared to bite the bullet. We'll be able to free some scarce foreign exchange and some money for our governments to be able to spend on health, especially, and education. As for the road projects, we need to do a lot more of what's it called? Build, operate, and transfer. You know, get the private sector to intervene in providing critical infrastructure through some level of partnership with the government. We can't keep awarding contracts every week when some of these projects can actually be undertaken by the private sector. We are beginning to do that now. At least we are seeing the likes of Dangote, Globalcom get tax holidays in exchange for fixing some critical road projects. So we need to do that. I believe that the subsidy regime should actually even end immediately. Waiting till the end of June, as the finance minister told us, is unnecessary. We have been asking for this to be done.
Yeah.
Now, I agree that even our consumption figure is not believable in my view, because I believe there was greater prosperity in the years, leading to 2015. Yet we didn't have this kind of consumption level. So how does one explain that? The higher the consumption level, the higher the subsidy bill. So we've got to do something about it.
Yeah. Nemeka, let me come back to you. So as you and I sit here, tomorrow, if the government announces officially it has stopped the subsidy regime, what will happen?
If Nigeria today announces that they will remove the subsidy regime, not just removing it, but totally deregulating the downstream oil and gas sector, there's going to be, first of all, initial bedlam, just like we had in 2012. Of course, what happened in 2012 was that they removed subsidy at the time people are going to travel for Christmas. And of course, you know, the Utah period is a time most people travel around, so there was so much bedlam. If government decides to remove subsidy today, not just removing subsidy, fully deregulating the downstream oil and gas sector, and privatizing the loss-making and misappropriating vessels called the refineries and all the downstream oil and gas assets of Nigeria, and divesting their holdings from the JVs with IOCs, from the current above 50% to about 40%, allowing the JVs to become incorporated as Nigerian National LNG. This country, initially, in the short run, there's going to be bedlam, there's going to be more people are going to protest. But I tell you, in the longer run, Nigerians will benefit for it. One thing that will happen, the import volume that they are telling us is about 103 million liters per day. We come down to its level of 32 to 40 million liters a day, which will reduce the scarce national resources that we waste in this Ponzi scheme. Even Sanusi said it. You notice in Nigeria that once the crude oil prices start going up, that is when those NNPs and perimeters start playing games of increasing the volume, because the more volume that they report, the more subsidies that are siphoned out of Nigeria. Between 2016 till now, we have wasted over 803 billion naira in those loss-making refineries. Something that will have long privatized. Just close your eyes and imagine what will have happened If Yar'Adua had allowed the privatization of Obasanjo in 2007 to the Blue Star Consortium led by Dangote to have stood then without reversing it, by now we wouldn't have been talking about what we're talking today. So it is the right time that we'll do it, and we'll do it now. Anybody asking you that they will do it in June, I tell you, they're only postponing the evil day. I've asked us this question. Ask yourself, Shell is in Nigeria, Chevron is in Nigeria, Total is in Nigeria. South Africa daily consumption is 32 to 35 million liters a day. In South Africa, they have registered about 12.5 million cars. In Nigeria, we have registered 11 million cars. In Lagos alone, it's about 5.2 million cars. And out of those 5.2 million cars in Lagos, which is more than half of the national population, only 200,000 are commercial. The rest are private. One individual parks 5 cars in his house, and we are subsidizing his profligacy. And that is what's happening. Why is Total not having a refinery here? Because our market is not deregulated. They see the Ponzi games we play here, and they are tired about Nigeria.
Nemeka, it begs the question of how many cars do you have? I, for one, have 1. GKB has 4. And Asuko has 3.
GKB takes the train now.
Okay, folks, that will be all on subsidy. Well, if you know the right thing to do and not do it, that is the worst form of cowardice, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Okay, we must go to our next story. You know, the point of sale, the POS system, allows your business to accept payments and keep track of sales. Yes, the system is entirely digital, but like anything electronic, the system is liable to abuse, even though it's a legitimate way of making money. Many mobile money agents appear to be in cahoots with criminally minded Nigerians in taking advantage of unsuspecting folks. In this journalist hangout weekend special by TVC News' Abiola Sholanke, we'll examine the impact of POS on businesses in Nigeria, and then we come back to wrap up. Please stay with us.
The origin of point of sale POS business, also known as agent banking in Nigeria, can be traced to 2013 when the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, released guidelines on operations and management of such venture. Since then, it has remained one of the retail channels of several commercial banks to let banking services reach a large number of people. A banking agent owns and operates a retail outlet. They conduct financial transactions and allow clients to deposit, withdraw, and transfer funds, as well as pay bills, recharge airtime, inquire about customers' account balances, and related services. Similar to other remote banking channels, it doesn't only thrive in rural areas but also in semi-urban centers, especially in unbanked and underbanked communities. Reports by the National Bureau of Statistics shows that Nigeria's unemployment rate rose to 33.3% in the fourth quarter of 2020, as against 21.7% in the second quarter of the year. Owning a POS outlet is probably one of the most lucrative businesses in Nigeria. While some people depend on it as primary source of income, it is an additional source of revenue for others. One of those who depend on this type of business for survival is Ayomikwosi Falodun. She shares her journey into the business with TVC News.
I happen to be a teacher, a secondary school teacher. And at a point in time, schools were locked. So I realized I've been at home for like 2, 3, 4 weeks. And as a private school teacher, we don't get paid for it. Even if schools will be locked for 6 or 5 months, we won't get paid. So I felt I could do something with what I have in hand, that is my capital. I walked through the bank, I walked into the bank, and I picked up an agency form. And after some weeks, I got an application which I could start with. And after some times, they gave me a target. Once I'm able to meet up with the target, I was given a POS.
There are good and bad sides to everything. Ayomikposi tells us the challenges she has faced as a money agent.
The risk is much. Within a twinkle of an eye, you can lose a lot of money if care is not taken. If you are venturing into this business, I would advise you not to accept transfer, and if you are accepting transfer, you should make sure you get the value before you allow the customer to leave, because that is the best way, that is the easiest way of defrauding POS agents.
There are also cases of POS operators being robbed at their spots by customers they had earlier served.
This wasn't a transfer. The guy came, is a customer. He comes here often. He comes here with his car. He will give me his ATM card, ask me to withdraw from that particular ATM and transfer it into another account. So he has been doing that often and often for a long time. Not knowing the receipts he used to get, he's been piling up the receipts, and after a while he went to his bank to lodge a complaint that he's been debited and he could not get the value. And to my own part, during that time the POS was faulty, so I could not check my mail. It was after some months I discovered that the account has been placed on hold. It's been on hold for some time, and ever since then I've not been able to access the account.
Basirat Olatunde is also a money agent who began trading in 2018.
I started with 100,000, but the capital wasn't enough, but I was just roughing it. I got the POS 22,000. The OPPOS that I got it at the rate of 15,000. The normal registration fee is 10,000. Then with those people that work it out, they collected 5,000. So I started using the two together to date.
She talks about how profitable it is for her.
Though we are making profit, we thank God on it, but not as people are thinking about it. But now the profit has reduced, not like before. Then I was making 70, 65 monthly. Compared to now, we are making like 30, 35 monthly now.
Basirat shares her cry, which she says is one of the ways she used to make the business of sales agent thrive.
I'm not intending to leave it anytime soon. But for now, what I think can cover up the business now is that government are even on it now. Government are collecting charges after the stamp duty that they removed from our accounts. The SMS alert, government is still collecting their charges. They started that last month. So governments are collecting their own also. So money are much that they are receiving from POS agents now, and people are much on it. So those things are making it the profit turning over to be low compared to before.
This is a university environment. The point of sale banner is easily noticeable for students who may want to carry out some transactions. In Osun State, the number of operators seems to have increased, especially since COVID-19 forced many banks to close for business, while others reduced the number of staff to attend to customers. The POS operators say they make profits that sustain them on a daily basis, depending on how customers patronize them.
POS business, just little profit from it, but it's a business that at least every graduate that is yet unemployed, and at least if they start with a little money, they will be able to see a little money to sustain themselves before they get to survive.
They also speak about their challenges, particularly now that many people are into the business.
I have so many customers, but my neighbors here, they have started POS too. And all my customers, I think
what I can urge our government is that if they can borrow the POS agents money so that we can use it to be running our business, so it will now boost our business will start growing.
Customers say the business saves time and reduces stress.
And then this POS is better. I still repeat it, it's better. If you stop go to bank, then we draw money. But there are some POS man or POS man worker who are still stealing money from account of somebody.
It's more often I do patronize POS, like 2 times, 3 times in a day.
Osun State has experienced 4 bank robberies in 2021 alone, and this has reduced the number of people entering the banking hall for transactions. But the POS operators too are prone to attacks by armed robbers.
Only if I'm not in a hurry. security-wise, POS is not safe. But when it comes to time, saving of money, I think POS is just an option.
Residents of Kano, like many other Nigerians, have embraced agency banking through immense patronage of the existing point of sale POS terminals in the state. Salihu Umar is the national chairman of the Association of Mobile Money Operators of Nigeria. He takes us through the negative and positive sides of mobile banking operators in northern Nigeria's commercial capital, Kano.
Agency banking is an alternative way of making ease or easing financial transaction provided by CBN. Some people with low income are afraid of going to banks because of so many reasons.
He urged banks to desist from providing points of sale devices to operators who are yet to undergo training.
So we are calling on banks to stop giving POS to agents rampantly or randomly. We are calling that everybody that's supposed to get POS should be trained on what is agency banking. And as an association of mobile money operators of Nigeria, we made it a standard rule, a policy in the association, that any member that is registering with the association must pass through that orientation training compulsory to know what is agency banking, to know what is financial inclusion, to know what is their role in the community.
The POS business thrives in Kano with numerous outlets across the city. This is Nyanya Market in Abuja. Shadrach Ikechukwu, a POS operator who also sells palm oil, says he has never been scammed or robbed since he started the business.
It has created employment, it has saved stress, it has helped people from suffering from bank queue, and most times it has helped people from moving from one far distance to another, trying to make use of ATM. So POS has actually helped. It has created a whole lot of employment.
POS operators also set up close to workplaces to make it easier for those at work to make transactions. Aqua Balajon, a civil servant, commends the CBN for setting cashless policy as it has made transactions easier.
It saved a lot of stress of going to bank. It saved a lot of stress in maybe I want to. Today is Sunday, how can I make it? I want to do this. It saves a lot of stress for people. We really enjoy it and we commend the central bank for that.
And Vivian Onyejiocho, a POS operator. But this new business comes with its own challenges. For POS operators, the issue of alerts creates knotty issues. There are times the bank would already have debited them, but would take so much time crediting a customer. Yet, they insist that the POS machine is usually more accurate than transactions made in banks.
Sometimes if my own delivered in my own, there is no way, if it's hit successfully and they debited me, there is no way they will not credit that person unless the bank have a problem.
There is at least one kiosk on many Nigerian streets in urban and rural areas. Students and the elderly, among others, need to be on queue in banks for hours to receive cash, thanks to the POS operators. To many people enjoying POS services, long may it last. Abiola Sholanke, TVC News, Lagos.
All right. The last cannot be heard of the POS regime. But then, gentlemen, you know, after watching that report, you get the impression the POS regime is, the POS society is a different empire from the one we know. The POS plus and minus, you know, I hear they are in cahoots with banks and all that stuff. Have you heard things like that?
Yeah, it is not uncommon for you to go to a POS operator operating very near an ATM, and the ATM will not work as of that point in time.
Will not readily dispense
cash. Will not
cash.
dispense anything. Or you dispense enough to make sure that whoever is left on the queue will now be directed to go to the POS. And now they are even moving inland, no longer along the road. They are coming to estates. You can now find them next door, as the case may be. It has its downside, of course. It also provides a very dangerous working environment because they are vulnerable to attacks, especially at night when things are done. Whatever will solve our problem and for it, especially that of unemployment and that of getting your access to your money on time. Because I know there's a town in Osun State that the only bank there was robbed about 5 times. So the bank just packed away. And it's a very big town, very popular town that has produced deputy governors, produced speakers. So until the advent of POS, they have to travel to Osogbo or Ogbomoso to collect money. So the POS revolution, if I can call it that, I really solved the problem for them. Because they can now get their money within.
But it has its hiccups.
Yeah, of course, I said. It's a security risk for those who work near it. Because they can be robbed and things can be done.
I wonder if Jide has anything to say about the POS regime. It seems to have a life of its own. You understand me?
Yes, and I'm happy because it has come to solve a lot of problems. In the rural areas these days, banks hardly set up shop because the banks in the rural areas are vulnerable to armed robbery attacks. In Kogi State, for example, we used to have a bank in my hometown, but the bank is no longer there, having been attacked a few times. You can actually drive through a number of villages and towns without a single bank. So how would those people have been able to cope without the ubiquitous presence of these agent banking operatives, or how do I describe them?
The POS folks.
You know, these agent bankers. Because it's we Nigerians that now began to call them POS. Yes, but these agent bankers are of tremendous use. When you run out of cash and you have your ATM, they can give you raw cash. So that when you are in the village, you tend to spend a lot more. Whatever money, no matter how big the money you take to the village, you can easily run out of money because there is so much poverty in the village. But with your ATM, even though there is no presence of a bank, with your ATM, you can walk up to an agent banker, and you'll be provided with the cash that you need. Sometimes in moments of anxiety, you turn to this POS guys. I remember even in urban centers now, we have them. In the schools, university towns, how many, you see, even some tertiary institutions, you have only one bank branch or two. It is the POS guys who actually service the students, because how many students would want to go into the banking hall in their school when there are just 2 banks, for example, and they need money? So they come to fill a gap, and government needs to provide an enabling environment to make them much more useful. Politicians will tell you that they are able to reach a lot of their constituents and people that they need to mobilize for them during elections through these POS agents.
But
so
it has
really...
Jide, but it has its drawbacks.
Yes. People sometimes scam them. People scam them. People attack and kill them. You know, in those days, I remember the case of a young man who was lynched after he robbed a POS operator, since that's how we like to call them. After he robbed the POS operator, he was lynched. So attacks on them are common because they know that some of them have tons of cash on them.
Okay.
Any POS operator that has tremendous patronage will always have sufficient cash with him, you know. So they really go to Banex Plaza in Abuja, for example, which is the main market for phones and other things. You see a good number of POS operators operating within that area because a lot of our people are even reluctant to go into the banks. They are much more at home transacting business with these guys, and when they transact business and they get that receipt, they feel more comfortable. They feel that yes, the business has been successful. Some of them trust these guys more than they even trust bank staff.
Asokwa, you must have your perspectives.
Yeah, exactly. It's good that at least he's taking a lot of youths out on the streets, and they now have something, you know, that they call something for a living, a business, you know, that can put food on their table, you know. But sometimes anything that comes that is electronic or digital, one has to be afraid, especially in Nigeria. I know somebody, a friend of mine was complaining. In fact, he vowed never to use POS because his card was compromised. I think the POS they used was compromised by these Yahoo boys, you know, so they wiped everything, you know. So cases like that, like the ones that we have heard about, they too being attacked because the minimum they can have at home might be 100K, you know. So if, for instance, they are about leaving their offices, they can be attacked. I know in Ibadan about two or three cases like that happened in Ibadan, that they killed the, 2 guys like that. You know, so it's a good way, you know, to at least keep body and soul together, and it's also helping the people who go to the bank and then you see these long queues. You just go and
all these laws that you have to obey.
Then, yeah, exactly. Even some banks now, hardly will you even enter into the banking hall because they also want to make life easy for themselves. I was going to one of the new generation banks recently. They said for card, you know, before you have to go to the banking hall to get card. Now they have a machine that you can just go press your account number and then the card will come out. So they are also trying to also reduce the number of people coming, you know. Okay. So with this is a good way, at least more youths can be involved in it, but I hope at some point
those youths must also help the system.
Yes, that is where I'm going to. Yeah. So at some point, I hope it will be regulated in some way, so that people will see it as a genuine business. Genuine business,
you are taking money,
you know, because
taking money home.
Yes, because genuine business in such a way that if I'm leaving school, okay, I want to go into agent banking, and then that can help me and my family, and is regulated, you know, because this, whether we like it, it is everywhere now. If last month should arrest you, they will say, oh, yeah, go and pay so amount of money. Where the bank is very far, so the POS is around here for you. So they say the POS is here. Same with police, all of them. So they always have POS kiosks around, you know, so for you to just easily pay for the government funds if you want to. So when once you're arrested, just if you say you don't have money, your car is going to sleep there. So the best thing is we can see how we can regulate this. If government can regulate it, make it more official, so it looks like even a bank, a true bank, you know.
Yeah.
People would love to do this.
We should retain the informal sector. Because one thing about Nigeria is that we overregulate stuff. This is a very simple process.
But you must be bothered. The whole world has made over 1 million laws just to keep 10 commandments. Maybe it's the will of man.
Well, they're already working in clusters, which I think is the best way forward. They no longer isolate themselves. 3, 4 will work together.
Exactly.
They can now put together the money if they cannot really afford.
So they can even do like a cooperative, you know, for them to make sure that the business exists, particularly if you know that this particular street 5, 6, they can do a cooperative of some sort,
to find solution to
all problems.
problems that were not problems before we created them.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jide, we must go home. So how do you bury it from the top, if you can paraphrase it?
Yes, it's a good thing that our people can access, our people in the rural areas, the farthest part of our country, and access banking services through other means. And that is what this agent banking is all about. That's what this POS people are doing. And a lot of our people are happy. You can send money home, you know, into your mom's account. And all she needs to do is reach out to the POS operator who will give her the cash. I remember when my uncle was building a house in the village, it was the POS people who are providing the funds for them to buy material for the building project, to keep the building project going. Because you can't be sending physical cash all the way from Abuja to people, you know. They could be robbed.
Yeah.
So these guys have come to fill a big gap, and it's a thing of joy that we have them.
All right.
I only hope that.
Yeah, Jide, we thank you. I just wish we could send some money via the POS to you.
Or you could send it
to us.
After saying all that. But thank you, Jide, and also thank Nemeka Obiareri. Thank you for your time as well. No less so, Gani Kayode Balong, GKB. I greet you.
Thank you, citizen.
Asuko James, many thanks too.
Thank you so much, Father.
And the backroom boys say thank you too. That will just about do it on today's program. It's been a marathon. We have to close now, but we'll go regular from tomorrow, 5 to 6. Don't forget that. But if you missed any part of this program,